Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Luke, aka CT Flips, and today's video I will be comparing thrift stores and estate sales. These are two very common ways of sourcing as a reseller. I am a full-time reseller as of 6 or 7 months ago. I'm so glad I made the switch. It wasn't easy at first. Like anything in this world, you know, it's never easy, but I am very happy where I am today. Now, I just want to put a disclaimer out there. This is my opinion and these aren't the facts. Sourcing at these two places really just depends on where you live as well. And I'm from Connecticut, so let's get right in. First, we're gonna go right into the pros of estate sales. And one of the biggest pros is that a lot of this stuff has not been picked. Of course, by the liquidator, they'll go through the stuff, they'll price it accordingly. They usually leave meat on the bone. But there has not been somebody who has hosted a yard sale or an estate sale previously. So a lot of stuff in estate sales are fresh. You can find a lot of cool things in estate sales. That's usually where I source. Another plus about going into a estate sale, you might find things that you don't see necessarily in the photos of the estate sale listing. If the liquidator doesn't know it's there, you may come across it, and if they don't really know what the value of it is, they'll probably let it go for cheap, and that's where you can really make some good money. I've had things that I found inside houses for like $5 or $10 that they did not price, and they were just like, oh, just get rid of it, $5, $10, and it'd be worth a couple hundred. Like I said, guys, for estate sales, prices are typically really good because these liquidators are trying to clear out the house. They have tight deadlines sometimes, and they just need the stuff that is inside just out. So they sometimes can blow out the prices and just give away stuff for basically free. A huge plus for estate sales, most estate sales, is that the liquidator who is running the sale will post pictures on the estate sale listing of like the valuable items. So you kind of get a taste of what the house is gonna be. So if there's a lot of like vintage toys in the pictures, you can expect a lot of vintage toys. And if there's a lot of comic books, you can expect a lot of comic books when walking in. Now, going back to prices and estate sales, most of the time they are negotiable. Most of the time when I am at an estate sale and I don't agree with the price, I usually throw out another number, and the liquidator or the person who is running the sale usually is just like, yeah, take it. You know, they're trying to get rid of this stuff. It's just like in a garage sale most of the time. There are companies that really run off of eBay prices and they don't really sell their stuff. And last but not least, most of the time the liquidator or the person who's running the sale will not have time to price each individual item. So if you make a pile, they'll kind of just like take a look at your pile, see what you have, and price your pile. If you can get a pile price at an estate sale, that is literally the best thing you can ever do, because if an estate sale is packed with individually priced items, you'll probably find some items where you can make a little bit of money. But if, say, you walk into an estate sale and you have 3 or 4 IKEA bags and the liquidators are like, all right, 50 a bag, you know, take it or leave it, $200, you know, you got a lot of profit. That is where you can make some serious money. And I just wanted to add in that personally, estate sales have been where I've found the most valuable items. And honestly, my favorite, me and my buddies are usually like top 10 when we go to a estate sale, because we will show up early and we will make sure we're in that door first. That way we can get the items that we see in the photos. Going into a place while sourcing and you are guaranteed to make money is really important, because especially with these gas prices nowadays, you do not want to be walking into somewhere not knowing what you're going to find and not knowing if you're going to make money. All right, I'm going to throw out some cons to estate sales. Now, there's not many because I love estate sales and that's where I find most of my inventory as a full-time reseller. But one of them is for sure waking up early and making sure you are first in line. Now, sometimes depending on the contents of the house, you'll have to get there at midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, depending on how packed the house is, if you know you're gonna make a lot of money. So for example, last weekend I went to an estate sale in Long Island. Obviously it's a 2-hour drive for me because I am in Connecticut. We made sure to get there at 1 a.m. in the morning because the house was packed from floor to ceiling with vintage toys, collectibles, anything you could have think of it was in that house. So we wanted to make sure we were first, second. We showed up at 1 a.m. on, I think it was 1 a.m. on the dot, and we were first and second. And then another car pulls up 5 minutes after. If we were 5 minutes earlier, we would not have first and second. But seeing that we were there right on the perfect time, a guy pulls up, he's third, you know, whatever, you know, you're on the list, and then leaves. So what you got to make sure is that you do stay in line, because they will kick you off the list. When walking into a house, you want to go on apps like Zillow beforehand and check the layout of the house. Sometimes, obviously, the houses aren't on Zillow. Some of them are because they are for sale or on the market. The reason why you want to do that is because you do not want to take the wrong turn. You want to look for landmarks in photos. So if you're walking into a room and you know you want to go to that room first because you're going to make the most money there, look at if there's any windows in the house. And if there's windows, look for landmarks outside. Say there's a trash can right outside the window. When you get to the actual house, you want to look for that trash can, and then that's where you know you want to go when you first walk into the house. But a big con about that is if you walk into the house and you turn the wrong way, you turn right instead of left to go to that room, somebody will definitely beat you to that room and find those items and take them right up onto you. So you definitely want to make sure you are making the right turns, because that can really end up bad. I've had friends take the wrong turn and literally lose all the stuff that they wanted to get. There was no point in going to that estate sale at that point. So talking a little bit about competition, there will be for sure people there for the same stuff that you want. Of course, always, there will always be somebody in front of you, behind you. That's why you want to make sure you're first. But in front of you, behind you, who is looking for that same exact item, because they see the same exact photos that you are seeing, and they're probably on eBay comping that stuff out, getting ready for the sale just like you the night before. Now, one of the biggest cons to estate sales is that if you do not know the company who is running the sale and you do not know them personally, you will not know how they price items. This can determine whether or not you are gonna make money for sure, because like I said before, guys, there are some companies that are pricing things eBay prices and you will not make any money. I can promise you that. So that's a huge con when walking into an estate sale, that you don't recognize the company, you don't know how they price things. Typically, I must say, personally speaking, that majority of the time they are willing to cut you a good deal, some more than others, but there are some companies out there that will stack price, sometimes even more expensive than eBay. That's no good. And I know I mentioned it a few times while talking, but I just wanted to repeat myself a little bit. Some companies do price off of eBay. They are just like us. We go onto eBay to look at the market of what things are actually selling for. eBay is one of the best places to go when you want to find out the value of something. And best believe some of these companies will be going onto eBay. Majority of these companies are going onto eBay to find those prices. Now, whether or not they leave a little bit of meat on the bone for you or they stack price, it honestly all depends on the company. Now, let's jump into a little bit of thrift store talking. So guys, I honestly have not been going into thrift stores lately because the competition is extremely high, especially during the winter in my area. Thrift stores are the only way to source for most people, and they really rely on it. For me, if you guys know me, you know I like going to estate sales, but estate sales really slow down during the winter. They almost come to a dead stop. At least in my area, the companies who are getting the estate sales in the winter are the ones who are literally pricing at eBay prices or over eBay prices. So of course people will go to them. People will probably buy stuff from them, but as for resellers, it's not the place to be. So thrift stores obviously are the place to be in the winter because, like I said, sourcing is very slow. But for me, I like big buyouts on Facebook Marketplace, meeting connections and buying my inventory that way rather than walking into a thrift store. Not speaking on it too negatively, let's go into the pros of thrift stores. Once in a while when walking into thrift stores, at least in my area, you can find some things that are worth a couple bucks and probably flip it for 50, 60 bucks sometimes. I've never come across an item that has made me over like $200 at a thrift store. It's just never happened. I see a lot of people in certain areas of the United States getting a lot of good stuff, literally like $100 items each day for like pennies to the dollar at thrift stores, and they have really good luck. But as far as me, I don't have good luck in my area with thrift stores, so I just completely stopped going into them. I'll pop into a thrift store here and there, and sometimes I do find something that's $4 or $5 that I'll flip for 50 or 60, but majority of the time when I walk into a thrift store, it is a waste of time. Another pro about thrift stores is usually they do not go off of eBay prices. Sometimes they do, but it all depends on the associate who is actually pricing the item. Honestly, you can walk into a thrift store any time of the day, and they are obviously stocking the shelves all throughout the day, so you can find a lot of good items. One of my buddies actually walked into Goodwill like midday, and he found an entire Department 56 collection. He spent like $1,000 and is gonna make a couple grand out of it. So things like that you'll run into occasionally. I'm not saying that's every day, of course. I mean, that's not every day with big buyouts or anything like that either. But like I said, guys, you can walk to a thrift store midday and catch them bringing out some new inventory and catch a grail. Now, I mentioned this for estate sale cons. Estate sales really slow down in my area in the winter, so I am not getting as much inventory from estate sales. So that is a big pro to thrift stores. They are always around. They're not going anywhere, and they don't slow down in the winter. But competition does pick up. A really cool thing about Goodwill is that if you have some unwanted stuff, you can donate it and you can get a 10% off coupon. So for example, if you find something like that Department 56 buyout at Goodwill for $1,000 and have a 10% coupon, it brings your total down to $900. So it's always good to keep those coupons handy just in case you do find something that is higher in price that you can knock off a little bit. And a really cool pro about thrift stores is that there are multiple. There's Salvation Army, Savers, Goodwill bins, and I'll be talking about the Goodwill bins a little bit more as well. Not everybody has a Goodwill bins in their area. Thankfully I do, about 20 minutes away. There's big competition there because it's literally the only Goodwill bins at least that I know of in Connecticut. And people get very, very competitive because they go by the weight there. So clothes are, I believe, like 10 cents. I haven't been in months, so I honestly don't know the prices. But like I said, they go by the weight, and you can really find some cool things for very cheap prices. And if you go at open and you go consistently, you are never going to walk out empty-handed. You can find a lot of cool things at the bins, especially if you are just getting into reselling and you need to grow your inventory. I would definitely recommend it because that is one of the places I started off at. When going to the Goodwill bins and selling on eBay as a new reseller, you can really learn what sells without taking too much of a risk. You're buying things at pennies of the dollar, so you're spending maybe 20 cents, 30 cents, depending on the weight, like I said, but you are not investing too much of your money into it. So I'd say take the risk. If you're just getting into reselling, take the risk at Goodwill bins and see what sells. After a while, you'll really learn what sells and what doesn't. All right, now that we got the good things out of the way, we are going to talk about the cons of thrift stores. My favorite, right? There are some Goodwill associates who will look at eBay for pricing, at least to my understanding. Sometimes they price exactly eBay prices. Like I'll look up an item that's worth 50 and it'll be priced at 50 at Goodwill, which is pretty funny because they get all the stuff for free. Almost always you will walk into a Goodwill and you are not able to negotiate the price. I've tried it before and they're like, oh yeah, we used to do it, but we no longer do that anymore. The price is what the price is, and if you don't want to pay the price, sorry. A lot of stuff at thrift stores has been picked over by lots of resellers. Like I said, the competition is extremely big for thrift stores because that is like the biggest place to go for resellers. A really big risk, especially nowadays because gas prices are skyrocketing, is driving around each thrift stores. Sometimes thrift stores could be miles apart, 30 minutes away here, 30 minutes away there, and then you're like an hour, maybe 2 hours away from your actual house. You don't want to be doing that if you're not going to be finding anything. Sometimes you will find those grills. Like I said, like I found a $5 shirt at a thrift store and flipped it for like $130. That's not every day. I mean, some people in some areas like in Texas and stuff like that, you can find $100 t-shirt every single day at the thrift store, but at least not in my area. That's just not common. Taking that risk and really driving around your state to thrift stores to possibly walk out empty-handed is just not a good use of time, in my opinion. And a really talked about thing about thrift stores, especially Goodwill, is that they have been putting their higher priced items online for an online auction. I don't honestly know too much about it. There's a lot of that going on, like the really expensive things are just going on to online auction and you'll have to buy it there. You will not be able to buy it in stores, which really is sucky because you're not finding a lot of good things at thrift stores because of that reason. And like I said, guys, this all depends on where you live. Now, I use Texas as an example because I watch a lot of resellers in that area who find a lot of good stuff for cheap prices, and they are able to make a lot of money because of the price gap. So like if something's priced at $5 and it's flipping for like $100, of course you're going to want to pick it up. But if you're walking into a thrift store in my area, you're going to be paying $20 for a pair of shoes that sell for $30, you know, and after fees, shipping, tax, all of that, packing supplies, time and effort, you're not going to want to flip that. Like, I mean, yeah, you're looking at it as like, oh yeah, it's a $10 flip and you do that 3 times, it adds up, but you have to think of all the other factors that go into it, especially when it comes down to that type of stuff. I mean, if you're paying $4 or $5 and you're going to flip it for 30, I mean, yeah, that's worth your money. I've never gotten why the shoes in my area are so expensive. Like I said, you can go to the Goodwill bins and look for shoes, but the competition for clothing and shoes at Goodwill bins is just like insane. And it's almost not even worth it because you'll probably get into a fight or an argument for $10, $15 of profit. So I'm all good with that. I'll stick to my Facebook buyouts and keep meeting connections in the field. I am super excited though because flea market season, garage sale season, and estate sale season in my area is actually picking up because it's starting to get hotter. Like today was like 30 degrees and then yesterday was like 70. Global warming for you guys. But super excited about that. I will be making a lot of more content in the field. Obviously in the winter, like I said, guys, sourcing does slow down and there's not as much content to record, which is why things have been slow as far as YouTube and YouTube videos. When I'm going to the flea market each and every Sunday, I'm always recording. I have the GoPro on my chest, and if I find some grills, you guys will follow along with me on that journey. So I'm super excited. I'm gonna go really hard this summer. Like I said, this is my first time having an entire summer as a full-time reseller. So I am super stoked, guys, and I am going hard, baby. I'm first in line at garage sales, estate sales, and flea markets all summer long, baby. And I'm going to be finding some grails. And if you guys want to come with me on this journey, come with me, baby, because I will be finding a lot of cool things. As you guys can see, full-time reselling is pretty fun. I work for myself. I no longer work for Target. On a serious note, I am 100% looking forward to this summer, and I'm going to go hard, baby. Hard, baby. So CT Flips back at it again. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, smash that like button and make sure you are subscribed to my channels. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you never miss another one of my weekly adventures, especially with this action-packed summer coming up.